This loose tribal collective of Caelia only existed as a reaction to Locaston and Bressus defining their borders. Welcome to this continuation of my DireLands system-agnostic dark fantasy campaign setting. My name is Adam, and in this episode I will be discussing the history of the Biel Gos in DireLands. If you appreciate the development of this campaign setting, or the features of other games on this channel, I'd like to invite you to consider becoming a patron on Patreon. You can even purchase tabletop role-playing games using my affiliate link in the description below. To understand the Biel Gos, we must understand the First Nation peoples of Far West. While the Biel Gos is composed of the 7 major tribes of Caelia, the First Nation peoples were once representative of many more tribes. In fact, the nation of Locaston even today has 3 of the First Nation tribes, and even the nation of Bressus contains 2 itself. But for those tribes outside Caelia's borders, they typically operate independently, doing their best to stay out of national conflicts and stick to themselves. The origin of the First Nation peoples is one of myth, which differs slightly from most of the existing tribes. You see, there was no written history before the Biochte arrived on Far West. Frankly, there was no need for one. For the First Nation peoples used spoken word to transmit their history in the form of parables, legends, and instruction. There is a distilled version of the creation of the First Nation peoples, regardless of the race from which they are composed. It speaks of a great power from the cosmos which gave birth to the races who sprung from nature itself. This great power wears many faces and presents itself to the tribal shamans in many different ways, but they all speak of being born as caretakers of Cirdvonig to look after nature until the great power returns. Each tribe holds its own culture and traditions. While some may have similar counterparts, they are entirely separate entities unto themselves. When the First Nation peoples of now Locaston made a pact with the half-orc tribes of the north and formed the nation of Locaston, due to the incursion of the Biochte, the tribes of now Caelia felt as though they needed to bind themselves together for mutual protection. This idea was not shared by all the tribes, and the conflict of heart tears in 1078 AM, or after men arrived from the west, ended in 2 tribes being completely wiped off the face of Cirdvonig. Their descent spelled their doom. The remaining 7 tribes united under an agreement of honor and mutual protection. They named this collective Biel Gos, meaning the God's people in ancient Philestian. The Biel Gos are composed of the following 7 tribes: Toktek, Wihemehe, Udalos, Zezeshu, Querel, Munru, and Cahutehe. While these are the representative tribes, there are in fact many offshoot tribes which are either too small, secretive, or unwilling to unite with the other tribes of the nation of Caelia, even though they dwell within its border. While a summons to the moot of the Biel Gos has only happened a dozen times, as most of the communication is done by runners between the tribes under a sign of agreed protection, when they do gather, it is a tremendously important affair. The first memorable moot was its founding in 1073 AM. Then, in 902 AM, when the Ice Age was considered to have begun, the tribes gathered to speak of the migration and destabilization of Locaston. The last moot was in 1 FA, or Frozen Age, when the Biel Gos met with representatives of the Triumvirate from Bressus to discuss the overthrowing of the Witch Queen. It is important to note that while the Witch Queen was a terror to the lands of Far West, subjugating the demi-races, banning magic from being practiced by men, and altogether terrorizing those who believed in autonomy or freedom, there were tribes in the Biel Gos who believed the Witch Queen to be the return of the Great Ones from their creation myths. The tribes of Udalos, Querel, and Cahutehe had much internal strife with the idea of standing up against the creators. Regardless of whether the Witch Queen was attributed to the creation myth of a tribe or not, in the end, all tribes believed they were facing eradication and would rather rise up against their supposed creator than live as slaves to her whim. The Biel Gos accepted the terms set out by the Triumvirate and coordinated with the tribes of Locaston to circumvent the Gaulecs and overthrow the Witch Queen. With the death of the Witch Queen and the retreat of the remnant Gaul-X, the Biel Gos returned its focus to Caelia in 10FA. But the agreement of honor and mutual protection no longer seemed necessary, as many of the tribes believed there was a mutual advantage to having national representation between Caelia, Locaston, and Bressus. Others began to draw back from the collective, like the Cahutehe and Wiamehe. Some even worked to overthrow the Biel Gos, vying for total control and national domination over the tribes through agents of the Udalos and Munru. This leaves the Biel Gos in the modern era in a tumultuous state. The contentious truce of the Biel Gos has inspired monthly moots in stark contrast to years past. They meet in Yurthek, the capital of Caelia, and discuss tribal boundaries, trade, and the preservation of peace within the nation. Recently, the wildlands, which are populated by fae, aberrant and natural creatures, and monstrosities that do not comprehend mortals' desire to craft boundaries, have been spreading. And while they have always ebbed and flowed in various international and border regions, this spread is entirely foreign and has become a great concern for the Biel Gos. Representatives of the Munru have spoken of missing people, and the Cahutehe echoed their fears as they have sent warriors into the wildlands who have yet to return. And while the wildlands are known to belong only to the natural world, with no dominion by the demi-races or First Nations people, something has clearly changed, and this new threat must be addressed. Will you assist any tribal call for assistance, or work with the Biel Gos to uncover the secret agents vying for the control or destruction of the collective? Can such a representative group maintain its control of national borders, with the original concept of the Biel Gos being for mutual protection, not national governance? And is the spread of the wildlands a threat to the tribes of Caelia, and can the Biel Gos find a solution to that threat? The future of these DireLands are truly in your hands. Thank you for watching today's DireLands Fantasy Campaign Setting episode. Please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel, liking and commenting on this video, and if you enjoyed this episode, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Always remember that evil spelled backwards is live, so get out there and be evil.